growing up, it was just me and my mum. And then my mum moved to Ireland for work, and I lived with my auntie for a while. Then she met my dad, and then around the age of 5 or 6, I moved over. We all moved in together, and I don't have too many clear memories of up around that age, like, but certain things stand out, they like kind of more, what's the word, like more detailed memories, but they're small detailed memories, so like I remember, say, starting play school in Lithuania. Like I remember of like friends I used to have there vaguely, stuff we used to do, like, and food we used to eat.
Do you remember being told that you're going to move to Ireland?
Yeah. I used to ask, and so I was like really surprised, because my mum just said one night, "Oh, we're moving to Ireland in a few weeks." I was like, "Oh, so I'm gonna have to learn how to speak Irish now." She's like, "No, they speak English over there," and that really confused me. I remember that very well.
Yeah.
And the only English I knew at the time was, like, my pyjamas had like good night and goodbye on them, and they're the only 2 words I knew.
Yeah. See, I don't remember moving at all because I was only 2.
Yeah.
But I do remember parts of when my sister was born, because like how your mother moved over first, my mum and dad moved to Ireland first, and me and my older sibling stayed with my grandparents in England for about 2 months before we all moved over. It wasn't until after my younger sister was born that we all moved over, but I kind of remember, like, vaguely those times living in with my grandparents, but I don't remember the actual move.
Yeah. Same. I just remember being with my auntie and not knowing where my mum was for a while, and then when my mum came back and we landed at the airport, I didn't know, like, who my mum was looking for, and like I'd be like, all these like hundreds of people would be walking past, and I'd just be like wrecking my map, saying, "Is that him? Is that him? Is that him?" And she'd be like, after a while she's getting taken, "No, it's none of those people." Like, that's all I remember. And then I remember just going to the house in Alvin, and there was a few people living there at the time. It was just really, it was a lot to take in one day, big change, but I got used to it.
Do your family still, are they still like very Lithuanian? Do they eat like foods that are indigenous to Lithuania?
So the way, like, our home life wouldn't be very traditionally Lithuanian, because obviously my dad is from here, my sisters were born here, and like they all speak English in the house all the time. I'm not at home that much anymore, but yeah, like, the only, I think, cultural thing is food. We do eat Lithuanian food a lot, and it is very different from the kind of food you have here.
What kind of food is Lithuanian?
So there'll be a lot of vegetables in the food, a lot of rice in some dishes, but it'll be, say, my favourite meal would be, it's called balendele, and it's like I don't know how to describe it, sort of like pork and rice balls mixed together, wrapped up in cabbage leaves, and you boil that like a stew with like carrots and dill and potatoes, and then you eat that sort of like a soup, but with sour cream. There's sour cream in everything. It's very popular. Another popular thing is borscht, which is like beetroot soup. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then schulte borscht, which is like, it's a cold beetroot soup made from buttermilk, and sometimes you eat that with pork meatballs as well, both of those. But it'll be mainly like beetroot stems, beetroot, potatoes, meatballs, carrots, peas, that kind of thing.
I don't think there's much difference between like English and Irish food, so I don't know. But definitely the times that we eat is different. Like, I remember like people, like my friends, saying that they were eating their dinner and it'd be like 3:30, but like we don't eat our dinner until like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. That was only the real difference. Food, not maybe just Yorkshire buns at Christmas. Other people didn't seem to have those. What holiday does your family celebrate the most? Is it more like Lithuanian or internationally?
No, we don't really celebrate anything, just Christmas really.
Which is your favourite holiday? No, without your family.
Without my family, well, I think it's still Christmas anyway.
Yeah. What do you think is the best thing about living in Ireland?
Best thing about living in Ireland? There's a lot of opportunities to do things here. There's a lot of, well, obviously all my friends are here. I grew up here. You know, it's my home, you know. So for obvious reasons, it's, you know, where I feel most at home. But as well as that, it's just easy to live here, you know. You know, we have it very well here.
What's the worst?
The worst thing is probably the price of everything.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally like just earning just to survive.
Yeah.
You know, you work the whole week away just to pay your rent and get something to eat and then start over again.
Do you wish you didn't move from Lithuania? Sometimes,
and that's just to see, because I'm just curious about how my life would have turned out if I didn't. I think it probably would have turned out very different.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in bad ways, just very different. I'd be a very different person than if I did move.
Yeah.
Because I think going through such a culture shock at such a young age kind of made me more aware of things around me.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of made me, I don't know if this was, it didn't feel like a good thing at the time, but definitely since I do, but ever since I moved around when I was smaller, like say for a few years after I moved, I felt very different from everyone else around me. I think it was just because of my, you know, my culture, my accent, the way I behaved, everything was just completely different from people around me, so I kind of did feel, I felt very different from everyone. But I think as I grew up and got older, it kind of served me well, because I realised that it's, you know, it's not a bad thing to be different from other people. And I think that move at such a young age did kind of teach me that after a while, even though it was uncomfortable at the start.
When I was younger, I definitely wished that I'd stayed in England, just because, like, in the village we grew up in, there was nothing to do, and I always was jealous of my cousins over in Coventry being able to go out, like, in the city centre and go shopping, and I thought that they had a lot more freedom. But now that I'm older, I see that, like, because my cousins grew up in a city and in England, you can leave secondary school when you're 16. I know you can't hear, but that's like more dropping out, whereas up until a few years ago, you did your GCSEs when you were 16 and then you could go to college or work. You can't do that anymore, you have to stay till you're 18. But at the time, I was jealous of that, but now I think they grew up a lot faster than I did, and I was lucky to be able to grow up, you know, in a more peaceful place. And just being able to cycle around the village with my friends rather than in a city. It's very busy. Have you ever felt excluded because of where you're from?
Yeah, like I was talking about earlier, I just felt very, like, yeah, I just felt like I didn't really belong to where I was. You know what I mean? Well, obviously I didn't at the time, really, like, because I was just taken from one completely different culture and just overnight moved to something completely different. Like, say my first few weeks of primary school, I couldn't even speak English, so like I had like this pictured dictionary with like Lithuanian to English words, and like my teacher would just be like pointing at the, like, she'd say a word and she'd just like look it up and point at the word, and then like, that's how kind of started learning English through just starting school without speaking it at all. So that obviously does make me feel a bit excluded, you know, because it's just that I'm the only one that has like a dictionary. Like,
I think you were one of the first non-Irish people to come to that primary school. you know, like from a further away. I think
Yeah.
that my older siblings would have been some of the first English people to come, and they definitely had a hard time because they started in older classes. Because I started school in Ireland in junior infants, it wasn't really much. I didn't get a lot of, you know, comments about it, but
Yeah.
my older siblings definitely had a hard time.
Now, I started junior infants here as well, but when I was 5.
Yeah, but without the language. I remember you
Yeah.
looking in the dictionary for words.
Even in 3rd class.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember that, but so like that could have been part of feeling a bit excluded even up to then. I didn't even realise.
Do you speak Lithuanian?
I do, yeah.
Do you think you'll teach it to your children?
I feel I would. Yeah, I feel it would be. I definitely feel. I feel like if I didn't, and then they grew up not speaking it, I'd definitely be ashamed of myself if I didn't at least try. You know.
Do you think the language is an important factor of your cultural identity?
Definitely.
Or in cultural identity in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like language is the most important part of any culture. Not necessarily like say, like Ireland. Obviously, most people don't speak Irish, but they still have their own culture. But I think, you know, if somebody is, you know, if somebody truly wants to separate, say obviously like in Ireland, there's a lot of, well, with some people, there's a lot of like a lot of pride in being like kind of anti-English with some people that like I find it kind of strange that those people don't try to learn Irish, or they say, oh, I hate speaking Irish and all that, but they're still like, oh, I hate England, but like they speak English because it's easier and they don't even try to speak Irish. I think that kind of thing is what you know, because obviously they'd have a very strong like sense of cultural identity, but without the language and kind of without even trying to